Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Here I am again. Here I am. Hello. Sorry I left in such a strange manner yesterday. Wasn't even technical difficulties. Anyway, welcome. It's October 13th, and what is that, 21 days before the election. And it's a Tuesday, so Susan should be on the other end. Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Hi. So I do have to explain. I was in full rant yesterday, and then all of a sudden my phone that I was on did that sound that it makes when you've left it off the hook for a long time. So I thought, huh? So I hung up and I tried to call back in, and I was told that that Lynn Cullen Live is like not they didn't recognize it. Then I tried the show number again, and they said invalid. And what the hell? And Amy didn't know what was going on and couldn't get back on either. And it turned out it was as simple as we didn't pay the bill.
You're kidding.
Now I want to say,
who's we?
That's what I'm saying. In our defense, me and Amy, it wasn't our fault.
Didn't know you had a bill to pay, right?
We didn't know from nothing, and I don't want to. This is a direct result of COVID-19. The staff at Pittsburgh City Paper has been decimated by this. I mean, layoffs, and it was always a very small staff. Whoever it was who had this job, which is probably a once-a-year thing you'd have to do, is probably not even working there anymore. So I don't know. It just anyway. We figured it out, paid the bill, and here we are again. Just saying. And I had so many things I wanted to talk about. Damn it. Nah, I'll just get on them today, I guess. Jeez, God. I think I don't know if everyone heard me talking. Well, it doesn't matter. I was talking first about Amy's
Coney
weirdo.
Barrett.
Yeah, Amy's weird religion. Cult.
And those poor kids had to sit there.
Oh, those poor kids. What is she doing?
I felt sorry for her even. I mean, what a boring day yesterday. I mean,
just to sit through all
boring.
That. Yeah. The thing is, I saw CNN wasn't even televising, and I thought, what? And then I realized later, why bother? It is just all these it was just the set speeches, and everybody knows.
I actually watched almost the whole thing because I began to be interested mostly in what the Republicans were saying. The Democrats were just boring because they were just, talking about one person after another that needed the Affordable Care Act. But the Republicans were calling her every name in the book under the guise of saying what the Democrats were going to call her. So I heard Kennedy call her Rosemary's Baby. I heard, honestly, they're going to come after you for being a Catholic, for being religious, that Catholics don't belong on the court. And I'm saying, wait a minute, let's count up how many Catholics are on the board. Who's even on the court? Who's saying a word?
You know who's not on the court? There's no Protestants on the court.
There's no Protestants, right. I mean,
this is another
they're
Catholic. I would think Protestants should be up in arms. There are all that's on the court it's a Catholic court with a few Jews.
Yep. Catholic
and one of the Jews just died, and they're going to put another Catholic. What happened? There shouldn't be a Protestant seat. Jeez.
Yeah.
I heard that
Yale started letting in the Catholics, and then look what happened.
The thing is, I saw that this idiot John Kennedy, Republican John Kennedy, senator of Louisiana,
that's the
went
one
out into the hall.
Rosemary's Baby, yeah.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because he went out and started ranting at the reporters, and they're calling her, and I didn't hear that one. And he went on and on with this list of unbelievable pejoratives, and a reporter said, "Who said that?" And he couldn't answer because the people who'd said it,
they were all Republicans. I started keeping a list. I started keeping a list because this is what people do in the comments. You people say, and then they lob themselves a softball, and then they say. So this is what the Republicans did all yesterday. They're going to call you this. They're going to rip you from limb to limb, and let me show you how they're going to do it. And she's got to sit there while her side is tying her to the stake and setting her on fire in an exemplar of what the Democrats might do to her.
Which they did not do.
Which they didn't say a word, not a word.
Right.
But I would like to point out, if the only reason that they are putting this woman forth is because of her views on one or two particular subjects, then why is it okay to put her forth on that basis, but not okay to object to her on that basis?
Susan, you are what? Are you trying to insert some rationality into?
Yeah, I'd also like to discuss Lindsey Graham's opening gambit today, which was a stump speech because he's losing.
Yeah. Oh, really? He made a stump speech.
And so in his stump speech today, he decided to point out the difference between politics, which is what the Democrats are doing, and judicial stuff, which is what he's doing. And he said, so, for example, this would be politics. And he says, they try and make it about the Affordable Care Act. Do you know who gets all the money from the Affordable Care Act? 3 states, New York, Massachusetts, and California. And who are their senators? He says, you know what? Under my plan, the Carolinians are going to get $1 billion more. Right off the top, $1 billion more. And so Susan, being Susan, does a quick Google search. Did Lindsay's state accept the Medicare offer by the government to expend Medicaid and therefore get a 90% reimbursement and all that money? No.
Right.
So why didn't they get any money?
Because they said we don't want it.
That's right. I just, so this is the opening speech of Lindsey Graham to the Barrett question.
Yeah, which had nothing to do with.
It was a stump speech. Then he asked her a question. She sort of laughed, and then he went back and gave another stump speech.
Wow. Well, this is why I don't think I'm going to watch this. I don't think I'm going to, because first of all, it is, unless 2 other Republican senators grow a spine, is a done deal. So it's not. There's so many.
Like she's not going to be on the court, so we should think about other things.
Yeah. I know that today. I mean, she has already refused to answer if the president has under any circumstances, the right to postpone an election, which is
no, she won't.
She would not answer.
But you knew she wasn't going to answer that.
She won't answer anything. She won't answer abortion.
No,
she won't answer
it might become before the court. That's been the standard speech forever.
So why listen?
So why bother?
It's a farce.
If it's something they want to know, she won't answer.
Right. It's a farce.
It's a farce. And she's already done that the first 3 times anything real was asked. And I also didn't necessarily agree with her question that there had to be, a law broken, that a law had to be passed and that a law had to be broken. This was a Lindsey Graham softball to her. You can't just order up what you want to decide, right? A law has to be made, and then a law has to be broken. Like DSEG last Brown versus Board of Education, and she's going, well, yes, you would have to reinstitute segregation, and then someone would have to have a suit, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's just bullshit. Yeah. Because a court could find de facto, segregation all the time. That's what they found.
Yeah.
Even the legal discussion is subpar. I have to. I stopped taking notes. That was my first 20 minutes. So because I just wanted you guys to know what I was hearing, and what I was hearing was that anybody that knows two things about anything realizes what a stupid farce this is. And by the way, she's not doing particularly well.
Yeah,
I thought she was.
It doesn't matter, Susan.
No, but I thought
I
wanted to be. I expected to be impressed with her because she's impressive.
Yeah, well, maybe she's not.
Well, but maybe she's not, because she got her first seat by sitting in a seat that was stolen from someone else that McConnell wouldn't give a vote to.
Yeah,
so she's sitting in a stolen
true.
seat. She is sitting in a stolen seat.
Yes, that is true. And she's got the thinnest resume of anybody who would be elevated to the Supreme Court. And in regard to a stolen seat, which she's held for what? Just
less than a few years, yeah.
Yeah, okay. She was
because she was put in once Trump could nominate her.
Exactly. She is. I'm just trying to see. Obama had nominated for that seat a woman named Myra Selby, and Selby had every bit as good qualifications as Barrett. She graduated from University of Michigan Law School. She served as a law clerk. No. Sorry, I'm on it. Justice of the Indiana Supreme Court. She was the first woman and first African American to hold that position. During her 5 years on the court, she wrote more than 100 majority opinions, yada, 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 yada. When she was nominated, her nomination languished he wouldn't touch it. The Republicans wouldn't even take it up. And the nomination expired at the end of the congressional term. And so exactly what happened to Merrick Garland is what happened to the woman Obama tried to put in the seat that now Barrett holds. These are all stolen seats. And you want to talk about court packing? This is what the Republicans have been doing for 4 years. Or more than that, because they had to set it up.
They had to set it up. They had to refuse to take action, and then they had to
on
only
anti-Obama.
Take action.
That's right. They had to refuse, which they did, leaving the next president in their hopes that they would win, get a Republican president. And so Trump gets elected, amazingly, and he's looking at over 100 vacancies on the federal court, because McConnell refused to allow the President of the United States, who happened to be Barack Obama, to put anybody on the court.
That's right.
The Republicans, they are, as
undemocratic a group as you can get.
They are just,
go ahead.
All right, I'm just thinking Republicans. So we hear that the Republican Party in California is like putting
out. That's what I was going to say.
They are crooks. They are criminals.
Well, it's just flat illegal. They are putting out phony lock boxes to capture your votes and what? Deliver them? What are they going to do with them? Take out the Democrats and only deliver the Republicans? What are they going to do with them? Well, I got word for you. Intercepting a ballot and pretending that you are a legal drop box is about as illegal. And in a federal election, I don't care what the California law is. In a federal election, that's a federal crime. In a state election, it's a state crime, and you can go to jail for a long time. And both of them, they got to pick up every single one of those folks. They got to charge them. They've got proof positive. They bragged about it on Facebook. They've admitted the crime. Lock them up.
I don't think they're going to because, I mean, California even said you got to get rid of all of those boxes by Thursday. Thursday? They should have been gotten rid of by now. They know where they are. Pick them up.
Pick them up. What are they giving them to do?
I don't know.
This is ridiculous.
And they were all out telling people to get their vote. They're crooks. So they're talking about, there'll be voter fraud.
Texas, wait a minute. In Texas, a three-step court of appeals last night overturned the lone good judge in
I know.
Texas that said, no, you can't just put one lockbox in the most, one drop box in the most populous county.
In an entire county. A county as large as, Rhode Island, one place to drop off. And so here's where this federal court packing works. You lose to an honorable judge, and then you
get to the three Trump appointees.
You get to the Trump judges, and they knock all that back. And so you see the voter suppression. You see the attempt to keep people's votes from getting to where they're supposed to go.
And here's a prime example. This is a prime example of exactly what they were talking about in the hearings this morning. So here is a case where we have just gotten rid of, the Supreme Court just said, oh, no, Texas doesn't need to be under a Civil Rights Act, consent decree anymore about voting because they're so good about it. And the second that they stop, they immediately get as in-your-face bad about it as they can get. The Court of Appeals is now siding with I don't see nothing wrong here. Nothing to see here, folks. So this gets up to the Supreme Court. You tell me that her views on this matter don't matter. Exactly. She's sitting in the seat because of this sort of shit. That's how she got there.
That is correct. Unbelievable. They're stealing the country right under our eyes. This is a minority party that represents not the majority of American people by a long shot.
Probably less than a third. Probably.
What about, Susan, what about the lines you're seeing? There were people waiting in line to vote yesterday, waiting 7 hours. And they stood there in these lines in Georgia, in Ohio, in all over. You're seeing these lines of people. God bless them.
God bless them, because they aren't going to be denied. They're just, they're just standing. I'm hoping that half of them are just standing there to irritate people.
No, I have to tell you, I think, when I used to see lines like that, people waiting in the hot sun and in pouring rain, and in both cases that was the case yesterday, and old people and women with babies, and I would always be so stunned to see those lines. But what I was always looking at were news reports from some country that had never really had a free election.
Right.
So people poured out and were willing to stand in line. I remember screaming
just
about, look how people will vote. Look, and Americans can't even bother to get off their duffs and vote, where they don't even have to stand in line. And it's our country.
Yep.
I'm
going back into Chicago so I can vote in person, and I'm giving myself a couple of days so I can drive around to different early voting places and pick one where I don't have to stand in line. But,
I at first was going to vote in person, and then I decided I couldn't because I can't stand for long.
Right.
And then I thought, so I got the absentee ballot, and then I thought I would
drop it off.
Drop it off. But it turns out that the drop-off places have lines too, and I thought I can't.
What do you mean have lines too? You just did drop it off.
No, they have lines. Huh. Wait a minute. I'll share with you a funny email I got from Chuck. He says this. My daughter and I took our mail-in ballots to the satellite drop-off location at the South Park skating rink. there was a line. My daughter said, we're doing this to avoid the COVID risk standing in line on November 3rd, but there's a line here, and the risk is the same. I couldn't argue with her logic, but I told her we're doing this because we can't be sure the post office will deliver our ballot, at which time she said, well, then why did we request these mail-in ballots? I told her to be quiet and stop annoying me. We're all just struggling to stop and think about it. Did you ever have to think about how you were going to get your vote in? And I yesterday drove, because I can do that, I drove to the post office and put it in the mailbox that I know they clean out every 4 times a day. And so I voted by mail.
Well, good luck. You should be able. I don't know.
It'll be fine.
In other states, you can go online and see if your
we can
ballot
too.
has been,
Well, you know what they're doing here? Because friends of mine and a caller who voted, what they do is they get a letter in the mail, snail mail. We have received your ballot.
Good.
So now I'm just waiting for that. Anyway, God help us all.
Yeah, and I mean, people have been told that their ballots have gone on and looked and seen that their ballot has been refused. And if that happens, what you need to do is, to them telling you that, is to give yourself time to go down to the Board of Election Commissioners and cure the defect. Either destroy that ballot and do it correctly. Usually your signature is wrong. Or one of those things. But you should have always the opportunity to cure a defect. The defects do not mean that you've wasted your vote. It's an opportunity for you to cure it. Okay.
Well, the thing is, all over, in every state practically, I imagine, that they're worried about. Republicans are suing left, right, and center. There have been so many lawsuits that the Republicans have brought here in Pennsylvania, trying again to suppress your vote. They lost another one just the other day that had to do with signatures, that had to do with an exact and a signature had to exactly this and exactly that. And the judge said, "Pa," and threw it out. What's interesting is this was a Trump-appointed judge.
Well, good. I mean, they just because,
every once in a while, an honorable one sneaks through.
Right. Every once in a while, some guy goes, I haven't signed my name the same way 3 times in a row ever.
Yeah.
Which is the catch-22. I mean, and even if you did know, if you don't remember how you signed, the only way you can do it is to sign it exactly the way it was addressed on your absentee ballot.
Exactly.
That is
they show
cue.
you. Right. They show you how. Oh dear. Well, this is just the way things are. Yeah.
But look on the bright side. It's 3 weeks to the election.
Yeah,
we're actually getting there.
I know.
We're getting there, and a movement is coalescing. People are unhappy. Do not like the ugliness. Do not like the ugliness.
Who could? Jeez. Speaking of the ugliness that Trump has unleashed, Susan, you might not know this, but the wife of our
I saw it.
Lieutenant Governor,
it's all over the place. Are you kidding? The Lieutenant Governor being
his wife
accosted? Yes, his wife being accosted in the grocery store.
What I can't figure out. At Aldi. What I can't figure out is we got a bunch of callers. Let's get them in, and then I want to go back to this because a local station did something I didn't understand. Anyway, caller, go ahead, please. Hello.
Hello, Lynn. Hello, Susan.
Hi. Hello.
Hello, Susan.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Don't you hear us?
So I hear you now. Yes.
Okay.
Hello. All right. Very good. We got that situation settled.
Jesus.
just in time for the
Come
election.
on, get on with it.
Well, let's have a commercial.
So, when I've been observing Donald Trump's behavior, and of course, the commentary has been that his mania and grandiosity has been ramped up by the steroid regime.
Yeah.
His own. Mm-hmm. But why is it that no one in the media will call out the fact that this man has clearly been drugged up throughout most of his presidency?
Yeah.
We've all seen the times where he's been speaking in public with eyes dilated to the pupils dilated to the size of $half. Yeah. Then we've seen the instances where he's had to speak on a serious matter where he couldn't be allowed to go off on some absurd tangential rant, and he's reduced to muttering as if he's experienced a bout of somnambulism. And it's indisputable now because only a few weeks ago there was live footage of him at a press conference where a fragment of a white substance came out of his nose. It was on live television.
Well, that's some of his Adderall. Come on. I mean, he snorts Adderall.
It's clear. The only
yeah, I know. Everybody knows it.
The only media that touched it was The Daily Show, or perhaps a few of the other comedy broadcasts. Now, I realize that in Washington, which is D.C., which is awash with wealth and influence and favor seeking, I'm sure they're on both sides, Democrat and Republican. There's a fair amount of debauchery. I'm sure there's quite a bit of illicit drug use and and sex going on. All right. Well, and I'm sure there's sort of a tacit agreement that both sides don't go after each other, and the Beltway media doesn't report it unless it becomes flagrant, unless someone's caught in the act, basically. Well,
that's it's not true. This stuff is used when it is beneficial to somebody. Right. I was talking yesterday about how the media are unwilling, or don't have the courage to talk about the decline of some of our older office holders who have incredibly powerful positions, including that they're doddering imbeciles. Actually, they're and I was talking about how there really is concern with the Democrats that Dianne Feinstein, who is the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee here, is in a state of confusion a lot these days, and never goes anywhere without an aide, and she's not the only one, because half these people are 80 plus years old.
Right.
And the reporters know this. They don't go and talk to these people. They know they're often in a fog. But do they report it? No.
Well, clearly they do.
Actually, they reported it the other day. Some guy in the New York Times.
That was the first time.
And they took off after surprise, an old woman.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, we're witnessing an individual in the White House whose behavior has long clearly had all the earmarks of drug abuse, and as I said, there's live footage confirming that he's using Adderall. He's misusing Adderall.
Well, but you know what?
Listen, the ranting and the hyped up behavior.
There is such chaos that he creates that I don't know what or anyone trying to cover him is supposed to do or how. But I get your point. But there's enough that we do know. Other than what's going up his nose, there's enough we do know quite clearly, and I think 2/3 of the American people are about to let him know that. Get the hell out. I really do think. I got another caller, John.
If the chicanery doesn't subvert the result.
Yeah. Okay, right. Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. I have another call. Are you still there? Hello?
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 Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, Lynn, I just wanted to say, calm your nerves today, that a friend of mine submitted his absentee ballot like last Monday. By Wednesday, he had an email saying your ballot has been received and recorded.
Fantastic.
So if you gave your email address, I
did.
think that. So,
Okay.
and I was really impressed with how quickly it happened.
That's fantastic. Thank you for telling me.
What I was going to say is I think that all of this voting, how secure your vote is, depends on, of course, where you vote. Allegheny County, I think we can be okay and comfortable that our ballots are going in. My sister, who lives in Atlanta, right outside of Atlanta, just called me horrified the other day. She had, September 18th, had requested her absentee ballot. It hadn't come. So she finally calls the elections division, and they said, "Oh, well, we have a third party mailing out and handling the ballots once we produce them." And she was like, "What?" They said, "Well, we have no way of tracking. We gave all of our, yes, you requested your ballot. We gave the ballots to our third party."
Advertised it?
Yes. She was so freaked out. And then
so was she
called.
given a way to get in touch with a third party?
Yes. And after she did, she was so freaked out. After she did, days later, her ballot arrives. Now, I mean, we were just both like jaw-dropping. A third party is handling the delivery of the ballot, the mailing of the ballots out of the elections department's hands. So it's all like where you live, and who knows what else is going on in this country. We have no idea. But I mean, I was just jaw-dropping.
Yeah. Gosh.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're pretty safe here. Okay.
I think so too. Bye. Oh my God. So what was I ranting about? Oh yeah, Giselle Fetterman. So, Susan, that's right near here. They live in right outside of Pittsburgh, in Braddock. Right. And she was accosted inside the store with this woman ranting and racist, N-word at her. And some woman actually said, "Do you want me to walk you back out to your car?" What I'm wondering is, where's the Aldi person not calling the cops to get this?
And why would, I mean, if you were in the store, wouldn't you have rushed? I mean, I would hope that enough people would have rushed and surrounded her and faced that person down?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't have. I don't think I would have stood there because I haven't in situations.
Well, she's no shrinking violet, Giselle, but she was so freaked. She runs out to her car. All she gets is the last little bit, which was that awful woman. Did you see the video?
I know. I didn't watch it. I don't watch it.
Well, I saw it online, and there's this awful-looking white woman and screaming at her, "You're a N-word."
Yeah.
Okay. And that's all and then she storms away. Now, I happened to watch the local news last night, which I never do, because I wanted to see how they were reporting this. Mm-hmm. And they reported it in a long interview with Fetterman. But in showing the video, they pixelated the woman's face.
Why?
That's my question.
Why are they protecting her?
They protected this woman. Why?
Why? It's not slander. It's what she said.
Well, no, yeah. So here's what I want, and you couldn't, they pixelated her face and they knocked the audio off because you couldn't hear what she said because it was a race. So it was just nothing. Now, the only thing I can think of is that that would get the station off the hook is that Fetterman herself in her interview said, "I hope someone had to teach this woman to hate. And she said, and she was, she's a really big-hearted soul. So she's saying, if any of you know this woman, I hope that you can go to her and try to help teach her better and see. And so she was like reaching out, this poor woman, blah, blah, blah. And I'm wondering if Fetterman said, no, because she put it out there. So she put the woman's face out there. And I was thinking, did Fetterman say you can, use the video, but I don't want this poor woman to be attacked? That can't be it. So the station had to have done it, because we've all seen it. The state troopers, who are her security people, who she, by the way, dodged to run off to Aldi's. Normally she's got security. They're going to look this woman up. So I don't get why the station did that.
Well,
protected. That's something you do to protect people's identity.
Well, their instinct was to. I don't know what your concern is. What you're questioning. I think it's pretty clear. They thought that woman needed to be protected, and that her right to do that was clear. Or why would they be protecting her? They did not see it as an assault. They did not see it as proof of an assault.
My God. Barbara shares this, and this is so true. She says, it's not easy to design a voting system that creates 11-hour waiting lines. Nobody else in the developed world has managed anything like it. Generating delays like this requires only in America careful planning and sustained commitment. And that is the truth. That is voter suppression, and you only see it when Republicans have been busily at work. Ellen writes, my husband and I took our ballots downtown on Saturday to turn in. There were no lines. Well, that's good. No one at all was in front of us. It was so well organized. They had people directing us where to park, people to ask us if we used our privacy envelope, blah, blah, blah. The person who took our ballots put them in a box with a slot, but did not do anything to verify we were who we were. Well, I'm sure you can drop off somebody else's ballot.
I can drop off my, our mother's ballot. You do that.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's good to hear. And yesterday, before we went dark, little Tony had emailed that he was a wreck because he had done just that, brought it downtown. And he checked his status online, and it still said, that his ballot wasn't in, so he was a wreck. And I told him to take some deep breaths. I'm sure it was okay. And in fact, the next day, his status had been updated. And Beth writes, I agree that Dianne Feinstein has reached her retirement date in the Senate. She was just reelected.
Yeah, but I watched her this morning, and she sounded.
She did okay.
She did just fine. And
she knew. I know, Susan. But
that article just pissed me off because there's so many doddering. Just listen to all these old white men. I didn't see anybody writing an article about any of them. They only, They only wrote about. You're right. They only wrote about the ones who are dead now. She's too ambitious. She's not smart enough. Yeah, Feinstein's old. Screw you all. The misogyny is just. I'm just so exhausted by it. As I stare at yet another old white man who no one's complaining about.
Hey, speaking of old white men who are sick and crazy, the fact that he should be charged with attempted murder, reckless endangerment. What is that? What the?
I thought that I thought Joe Biden should swear out a warrant for his a complaint.
And I saw
he deliberately and knowingly. I mean, I've been saying we've got people in jail for doing that because they had AIDS that are serving sentences for attempted murder.
Yeah.
For willfully spreading AIDS. Why is the president? He's allowed the stupid senator that's sitting there with all these, as we pointed out, old infirm folks. He's trying to kill them all.
Senator Lee, who tested positive 10 days ago, is sitting there at these hearings. And I thought, so anyway, turns out much of the press corps is refusing to travel with Trump.
Yeah. Why should
the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post are among a whole slew of major media outlets that have declined to assign reporters to travel with Trump. So when he goes off on these things, they aren't there. BuzzFeed won't, Politico won't, Hearst newspapers won't. No one is willing to let the reporters into what's the pool that is made up of different reporters. And that's a pool put together by the White House Correspondents Association. And they're begging now to find reporters willing to cover the president. And listen, there's a report about it in the Times today. Among the concerns raised by the reporters is that many flight attendants and Secret Service agents aboard Air Force One don't wear masks. White House aides who tested positive or were potentially exposed are returning to work well before the normal quarantine period. And so who in their right mind would be around these people? God. Hang on. I think we have a caller, but I can't for some reason unlock my phone. Okay. All right. Hello.
Hello.
Caller?
Are you there?
Oh, yes. Hello.
Okay.
Why is everybody saying hello twice? Are we not? Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but it just takes a little. There's a delay.
Oh, there's a delay or something.
Beep. And when you say hello,
go.
And then.
Okay.
But anyway, okay. Did I hear you correctly in saying that nobody at all these approached this racist woman?
I didn't. I know somebody told
Fetterman.
Fetterman that, do you want us to help you to your car or something? But I didn't know anyone at all.
That was a customer.
Yeah. I haven't heard that.
Okay, because the reason I asked is because I don't know if you recall, a few weeks ago I called you and told you about I had a confrontation with a gentleman at Home Depot about not wearing masks, and Home Depot will not confront them. Also, Home Depot will not confront shoplifters. So go in, load up your bags, and just walk out the door. I guess they'll call the cops, but nobody's going to confront you apparently.
Well, they can't require their employees to get shot, and that's the problem.
Yeah, because we have guns in this country? Okay. But anyway, back to the masks real quick. We went to Maine. We were up at Cape Cod, that area, and we picked up our daughter for vacation, and we picked up our daughter in Brooklyn. When we were in Brooklyn picking her up, and we were there for a couple of days, and we went to Cape Cod, let me tell you about the mask. People walk out of their house with masks on, and you do not see that here in Western Pennsylvania.
No.
If you're going downtown Pittsburgh, people are much better. They're good about it. But once you start wandering like 10, 15 miles out, people aren't. But that was.
Well, you see the growing positives. We're going right back up because of these people. We're never going to get out of this because of these fucking idiots.
And they have their heels dug in for some bizarre reason. Well, because of our stupid president, such a terrible reason. Last week, I sent you a couple of emails about mail-in ballots.
Mm-hmm.
About how if you're set up to do a mail-in ballot, you better mail in your ballot, or you better hold on to your ballot and take it to your polling station.
That's right.
That's a big deal. That's a really big deal that people may not be aware of.
Yeah, I think more and more that is getting out. If you've got a ballot and you decide you want to vote in person, you better take that ballot with you, because otherwise they're going to only let you cast a provisional ballot.
What scares me is, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but my wife and I are pretty sharp, though. Okay, if we threw ours in the trash, we're just going to go vote in person. We casually did that without even thinking about it. How many people are doing this exact same thing who don't know this and will be unpleasantly surprised November 3rd? It scares the daylight.
So what can you do? You can vote provisionally. That's all you can do? Or no, you got somebody to send you another ballot. I remember now, because you knew somebody.
Yes, and you can do that. That's you can have another one sent to you. If you reach out to them, say I never received it, and they'll get it.
Oh, you can say I never received it. Blame it on the post office.
No, but you can also say I goofed, and they will cancel out that ballot and give you another ballot.
Absolutely. I accidentally destroyed it. The dog ate it. I spilled coffee. Whatever. It doesn't matter. And like that previous caller was saying, we're going to be okay here, but what the hell is going on in the rest of the country?
Yeah. I know.
But can I just point something out? That's a very common attitude in the United States, and maybe we should learn about that. Like with public schools. My public school is fine. It's all those others' public schools that aren't fine.
Yeah.
So
I didn't quite mean it that way.
I know you didn't quite mean it that way, and I know that there are problem places created deliberately in this country. But I think the vast amount of this country is going to be just fine. Then there's nothing wrong with our paying attention to the details and not taking it for granted. I'm almost happy about that.
Yeah.
That we are now alert. And we are
alert. We understand what our vote means. We understand what it means when we don't participate. We've had a really good object lesson these last 3 years. I hope we don't forget.
Right. Hey, Roger, thanks for all that. I mean, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
Bye. See ya.
And here's another. Somebody says the most shocking thing about the Giselle Fetterman video is I had no idea that the old lady in Blazing Saddles was still alive. That's what she looks like. Wait. Anyway, he goes on that he was out of town in Atlantic City. While I was there, I received an email from Cumberland County, where I live, that my ballot had been mailed to me. It was there Tuesday night when I got home. I filled it out right then and there, drove it to a post office mailbox a couple of blocks away. Friday at midnight, I got an email that my ballot had been received. That's from Keith. Well, that's great. Okay, so I'm just waiting on my emails then. Yeah, Bree writes from Malaysia, we're back in a 2-week movement control order. That means lockdown, essentially. Mm-hmm. Many of the new cases seem to be linked to an election in one of the states. Complacency may also have crept in a bit. Oh, God, this whole world.
Well, I mean, when you look at how we do things in this country versus, let's use Mexico for an example. In Mexico, if a shop is open, the way you get into the shop is you stand with your shoes on a mat of disinfectant. You hold out your hands. An employee puts disinfectant in your hands. You are wearing a mask. If you aren't, they give you one. Then you get in.
That's Mexico?
They take your temperature, That's everywhere. And I got this from a letter writer who had just come back from St. Louis and found St. Louis so disgusting. She said, I don't understand how anyone walks around here. I'm going back to clean Mexico. That's what she said.
Well, Susan, you're forgetting that this is a free country. And nobody gets to tell us what to do, okay?
Yeah, I just don't understand why.
That's
what
it
we want
is.
Is an open economy and to go around and do what we want to do, that we won't take the most basic precautions to make such an unsafe activity at least safer. I mean, to do nothing is just ridiculous. These made up distancing things, and okay, well, it's going to be cold now, so suddenly restaurants should open and we'll eat inside. Yeah, no, but okay.
Okay, wait a minute. I got something here from Jonathan. You cannot drop off someone else's ballot in Pennsylvania. Under Pennsylvania law, voters must return their own ballots. The only exceptions to this are for voters with a disability who have a designated somebody in writing to deliver their ballot. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I delivered Mother's and no one questioned me.
Well, it's a different state. Every state has their own. Beth writes, another bad issue which has just come up is that some voters, such as me, have received incorrect ballots. I live in Aspinwall and received a ballot for a district in Shaler. It's a mess. I sent an email and I'm supposed to get a correct ballot later in the week. Yikes. Wow. And did you see how...
there's a lot of stories like that. New York really screwed up, and other people were getting military ballots. They weren't military.
Right. Also, Bree writes, was there some recent court decision in Wisconsin favorable to Trump? Yeah, there was. What was that about, Susan? Do you remember?
I don't.
I think it had to do... Wait, you know what? Here is the problem. There is so much coming at us. But there was a favorable ruling in Wisconsin about mask mandates that they'd gone after.
Yeah, they upheld the mask mandate.
Yeah, but this has to do with the election. This had to do with something about counting.
Yeah, I think they had to be, the ballots had to be in by election day and not a week after or something.
Okay, something like that. Father Joseph writes, if Trump loses and our nation survives his wrath, it's not his wrath, I'm worried. Oh, I can never read Father Joseph's emails without talking back to them or inserting things. It's not his wrath I'm worried about as much as his voters. If Trump loses and our nation survives his wrath until the inauguration, the wheels will come off the Trump empire. His legal problems will be off the charts, and his friends will scatter like little insects as soon as the light of justice comes, shining bright. Aldi and Fetterman, help? No way on earth an African American, if present, would step forward to help, because we all know the risk of an African American confronting a racist white person. Sad but true. Let's hope for the rise of a better age. Wow. So I don't know who was in the store, or their race. But would that racist old lady be shopping in a place is filled with African Americans? God help us. Okay, but that's an interesting point. He's saying, what, are you nuts? We're not going to... First of all, Giselle Fetterman is not black. I mean, first of all, not that it matters, but she's not.
I know.
Oh. Oh God. You guys are sending so much good stuff, and I just don't know how to. I can't. I'm sorry. I can't keep up.
What are they sending you?
Just stuff. I mean, just good information and stuff. I've been having this thought, and it's well. First of all, let me make sure I get this in. You gotta say life well lived to Roberta McCain. Excuse me.
108.
108. And I'll tell you, beautiful up until the last. I mean, this and active, incredible life. born in 1912 and buried 2 of her 3 children, eloped. Her parents didn't approve of this young naval ensign she'd fallen for. She eloped and got married in Tijuana. God bless her. 108. I just wanted to note it. Wow.
Yeah.
And here's this other thing. I've thought this and then been uncomfortable because I don't want to say, I mean, so often now I scream to my television or myself, if we could if all of you white guys would just shut up. I mean, go away. Go to a therapist. I don't know. When I look at where the trouble's coming from, first of all, it's mostly men. It's men. You can't blame white guys for the, troubles in Africa or in Asia. So you can blame the men, I bet.
Yep, you sure can.
And I just can't take it anymore. It's like our eyes have been opened to the life of being black in America, being a black man, being a black woman. Our eyes, anyone who doesn't see it now is willfully blind. And how can we fail to acknowledge that men are the problem? I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You run everything. And look where we are.
Yeah, pretty damn badly.
I'm sorry. And then when you look around for countries that are doing better, New Zealand, a woman. Germany, a woman. I mean, places that are governed better, places that courage. Belarus. Who are the people taking on that tyrant? They're women. I can't take it much longer. And it is quite clear that men are just this machismo. And that's what's behind the nonsense of men in this country not wearing masks.
Oh, right. It's their toxic masculinity.
That is what it is. Because, and Trump has totally, led them on this. As if he is a masculine ideal. My God.
Well, but this is what I've been pointing out since the pandemic started, that all of these grossly obese, that's the only fun part as far as I was concerned. Trump getting COVID was having everybody have to pronounce solemnly that he was obese. Trump's obesity is merely reflected in about 80% of the men in our country, and we're supposed to find that devastatingly attractive. It's only the women that are to keep themselves up. And although if Jared Kushner has any more Botox in his face, it's going to split. But aside from that, this is constant, that men are perfect and women should try and be better and shut up and go away.
Well, it's always been that.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. I don't know why we put up with it. I really don't know why we put up with it. There are wonderful, wonderful men, and the wonderful men I know don't claim to be superior to anybody.
Right.
But these guys that
I just want to say, guys, I know, it's awful when you belong to a group.
I have a husband that I loved, and I was married to a great man, and I have a great man for a son and a son-in-law. There are great men, but the people that we pick to be our leaders, those are not great men. And I am so sick of every single damn woman in this country being disqualified by virtue of her lack of a penis. And it's just stupid.
All right, Suze, I got you going.
Well,
who is the enemy? Who is the enemy? I'll tell you who. Testosterone.
Well, and women are their own worst enemies.
Well, because a lot of women buy into that macho ideal.
If we wanted a woman president, we'd have a woman president. The people that keep us there having a woman president are women, not men.
No. Are white women.
Yep. Well, yeah, white women. Because their men have they got the power one way or the other.
I'm sorry. My apologies to all you wonderful guys who I know are out there.
We know you.
But you have to. You know this is true too. You know this is true. What do we do with so many of your defective? And they're so in America. They are so freaked now. These white guys that other people who aren't white and who aren't guys are rising up and are supplanting them. It's and their reaction is to get guns.
Right. Now they're going to kill us.
Yeah.
Well,
so they're going to just kill us.
Yeah. And I'd like to point out that right up there among the people they want to kill the most, this group of intimidated, mostly young white men, a lot of them, are women, because we don't find them devastatingly attractive.
No, that's why you get all these men that they hate women because women don't like them. They hate women, they hate blacks, they hate gays, they hate everybody. Look at the people who were arrested in Michigan who were going to kidnap the
there
governor.
were more of them than their total IQ. I have never seen a bunch of faces that bespoke. Well, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, did you?
And I
look
saw
at them?
immediately. I saw an article that's talking about one of them and how, lost his job and extreme poverty might have forced him into this. And I thought, wait a minute. So already there's more sympathetic coverage of how could this happen to these.
Well, you heard the sheriff defend it. Well, we didn't know what those guys were going to do with her after they kidnapped her. Well, excuse me, sheriff.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Is it kidnapping her was okay?
Their intent was?
They weren't going to rape or kill her.
He went on and on and on about not rushing to judgment about what these guys with all their ammo intended to do with the governor after they took her against her will.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it's we're surrounded with them, folks. We're the militias. When we were little girls in Green Bay, there were John Birch militias all over the place. We knew it then. I remember being afraid of them then. They just weren't as well armed.
Well,
or organized.
We'll know we're making progress when they are illegal, as they should be. And I just want to pass this on. The term militia is a legal term referring to an armed force that the state uses to augment its own forces.
Right.
It is not a band of loser white guys who met up on some Facebook page.
Those are domestic terrorists.
Those are domestic terrorists, and damn it, media better catch up. I saw that a Detroit TV station has said that they are not going to use the term militia anymore. We're way over time. I got it, Suze.
Oh, really? Wow. I got to go box. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Talk later. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're all over time. Goodbye.
Yeah. Bye. Hey guys, sorry about yesterday. Damn it. And I'll be back tomorrow. And there's just so much. And I'm sorry for emails I didn't get in or all in. And it's just a tsunami. We're getting close, but I don't know what exactly it is we're heading into. So keep your fingers crossed and stay alert and stay well. Talk to you tomorrow.
Lynn Cullen Live Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.